Ladies and gentlemen, entrepreneurs and all-round awesome individuals, welcome aboard the Head Guy Podcast, your gateway to the Middle East success. I'm Stefan Lindberg-Jones, your captain on this journey of business brilliance, cultural exploration, and a sprinkle of life's best stories. In today's episode, we have a special guest, Giorgio Torre, joining us to unravel the dynamic world of public speaking, career growth, and entrepreneurship. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur, a curious mind, or just someone looking for a good time, you're in the right place. Subscribe now to your ticket to exclusive CEO insights, cultural escapades, and the real scoop on life in the Middle East. Let's roll into success together. So, Giorgio, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me. I'm really thrilled to be here. I believe that's the first time, but I'm really happy.
First time?
First time in a podcast. Yes.
Really?
Yes, absolutely.
But on your LinkedIn, it says you're a public speaker?
Yes, public speaking, different contexts, different topics, but podcast is the real first time. It's more...
But have you never been invited through the public speaking? Because I'm always curious about the whole public speaking platform, that if you are invited to speak publicly, that you might be then pulled in different directions with regards to different platforms like a podcast.
Yeah, exactly. There are, let's say, I think the psychological approach and the structure is different because with the public speaking, you tend to have under control the overall structure. So you are the one, yeah. Now, for the podcast, it's I think it's overall a better experience because it's more bionivocal, right? You give input, you receive input, so there is a proactive conversation. So you're not presenting anything, you're out of that, formalism, and yeah.
Yeah, and I'm curious because I've done public speaking, but the way I do it, I kind of have an idea of what I'm going to speak about or talk about, but I don't script it. I'm just curious how you do it when you're going to do a talk.
For public speaking, well, I think it's more, I start the point one is always what kind of audience do you have and what kind of topic you're going to present.
Yeah.
And in anything that I used to present, I always put myself and my preferences in something that should be objective, but reflect somehow in certain way my view. So it's more of a communication. So it's kind of, I'm providing my points of view over something that is objective, which seems a contradiction, an oxymoron, I think. Mm-hmm. But it's that's what motivates me in delivering any.
But do you write it all down before? So you're following a script? Or
No, absolutely no. I'm very graphical guy. So I just need to look at graphics, infographics, pictures. I'm anti-text. So anything...
Oh, really?
Yeah. I cannot really bear more than 2 lines of text. It's a limitation.
Really? Was it always like that? Because I remember when I was a little kid in youth clubs that we would have to memorize certain sentences, and I hated it.
Yeah. I feel that. Yeah, absolutely.
So you use images to then, once you see an image, then there's an information bank in your head that literally provides all the information on how you see things.
Yes, actually, look, everything started from my frustration when I was at the school, elementary school.
Yeah.
And I used to see hundreds and hundreds of pages to study, to memorize, like you say. And I said, why all this content could just be 2 infographics, a text, and insight? I say, so much waste of paper. It's not in the green, right? From that moment it became like my personal crusade, I can say. I say, okay, I need to provide information and I need to try to help others to provide information through a simplified way. I know it sounds very funny, but that's how I'm driven when I try to deliver a keynote speeches or panels where I basically have to summarize some content, and that's how also I structure. So I tend to structure based on infographics, based on numbers, based on key insights, and then for me the textual component will come at the moment. So it's kind of interpretation, kind of improvisation. So,
and I bet that skill works well over here, because I find Qatar is very visual. They like to see things. They don't like too many words. They just want to see visuals, and they can understand it through visual communication.
Yeah, I think we had a similar conversation also with a colleague, and has to do with the culture. I believe has to do with the culture, with the sociological environment. I find similarities with Southern Italian components, because I see that both Arabs and Southern Italians are both very talkative. And the same people tend to screen trustworthy people from non-untrustworthy people from the amount of words that they use in pitching things.
Oh.
So, for example, if I'm in Italy and someone speaks so much, I say, okay, this guy's just blah, blah, blah.
Blah, 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 yeah.
So I think, so on the other side, if you are, for example, living in Iceland, very nice land, you don't expect people to be extremely talkative, but if they are, most probably they have some content to express. That's what I would think as, like from the other side of the culture.
Yeah.
And I would trust more someone coming from a different culture that is behaving like my culture, because it means the guy has seriously something to say.
Nice.
It's,
So that isn't the way I was going to plan on starting this podcast, but thank you for that. Anyway, how do we find you today?
Well, first of all, let me thank you again for being here. I'm in Qatar today. It's been 1 year and a half, pretty much.
I'm just curious. There was a big, deep input of breath.
No, absolutely. It's all positive. I'm
Okay.
lately a little bit tired, but it's all productive. All productive activities that take you to bring you to being a little bit tired. But that's absolutely part of the game, and that's part of the.
So how long did you say you've been here?
I've been 1 year and a half now.
Okay.
I've been 6 months before in Bahrain. So let's say overall almost 2 years in the Gulf.
Yeah.
Was totally new. Was totally unaware even of the local culture. So for me, it was at the beginning a little bit of learning regarding the culture, but now I feel that I'm integrating somehow.
And what brought you to the Gulf region in the first place? What was it?
That's a nice question. It was absolutely random. Although I always had somehow a remote and subconscious fascination for the Arab world, the ancient Arab music, this kind of cliches that we have in the West. But it happened quite randomly. I just received a LinkedIn job offer. It was for a venture capital firm, private equity venture capital firm in Bahrain, in Manama. And I could not believe that I could pass the selections, but I passed incredibly.
And so they reached out to you, or you applied for a?
I think I'm not sure, but because at the time I was applying for so many jobs, I was jobless at the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it was during actually the beginning of COVID.
Oh, okay.
So I applied for so many jobs, and it's possible that I applied for that job. There were pretty much 200, 250.
And I'm just curious, because of LinkedIn, I've been on LinkedIn, and generally I'm looking for people.
Yeah.
But when you're looking for a job on LinkedIn, are you looking for the ones that have got easy apply, or how did you work the system?
Let's say that I prioritize that. So I say, okay, if I don't have a job, I go for all of them. Easy apply and the boring ones.
Yeah.
If I have already a job, but I'm not content with my job and I'm looking for something, I will just make easy apply. So it's a compromise between the two. No time consuming.
No, it's funny because the one time that I was really looking for work, there was no internet at the time, many years ago. And I remember writing, I would get up every morning and I would get the local newspaper or I don't know, or there was a newspaper that was advertising jobs in the country, in the UK at the time. And I would literally get up every single day and I would write 10 letters and post them every single day.
Wow.
I know.
Old but
so no, but I can relate. How when you don't have a job, that's your sole. That's your focus, isn't it? To literally apply to as many jobs as you can.
Yeah, but while you were speaking, I was thinking that is a kind of could be extremely useful today to look at this old method, like let's call it classical methods, conventional method.
Yeah.
Because imagine if today company or a stakeholder of a company receives a physical letter. That would really stand aside. So today, just an email or just a copy and paste, and ChatGPT can do that automatically. Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so
Yeah, but that's what they say, isn't it? If you do see a job advertised, that you should try other means apart from just doing the old LinkedIn way of just applying, is to try and connect with someone or try and get to the top person.
Yeah, if I have to be honest with you, so many people reach me out by LinkedIn and they ask me, how can I get a job in Qatar? How can I get a job there and here or in a big four? And I always tend to respond, look, you need to put yourself in the shoes of the recruiter or the stakeholder. What would I be impressed by? So what really makes me think, wow, this guy is really different from the thousands of other candidates that I've been speaking with or screening? Is a very time-consuming and boring and repetitive activity for recruiters.
Yeah.
But doing something that really, you need to think out of the box.
Yeah.
And I would say, number one, reach out to the right people. Most of the time, HRs are not decision makers. HRs are just a filter. So reach out to the right stakeholders, the right people. Show that you can clearly provide an added value. This can be sales, this can be knowledge, this can be know-how, expertise, connection, networking, everything that you can leverage and make it in a very presentable way, in a very direct and effective way. So pitch yourself in the best way and most effective and concise way possible, because this can be through a video, through a presentation, but something that can be handy. I don't need to download anything, think out of the box. There is no methodology. If there was a methodology, that would be already outdated, because you need to think about something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, spot on. Okay, so you were in Bahrain, and then so how did you come to these shores?
Yeah, so in a nutshell, I was in Bahrain. I concluded my programs and my projects, and I then moved back to Italy, where I started to provide consultations to the European Commission, several startups in the Netherlands, and in the context more of the Web3. So metaverse, blockchain, AI was also the boom of the Web3 concept. There was so much hype, so much fuss around. After that, I started to apply for companies in Qatar. I was specifically targeting Qatar. I was really attracted. I knew pretty much Saudi Arabia, I knew pretty much UAE, I knew pretty much Bahrain. I said, okay, Qatar, I think is the country where I want to be. I felt that it was very full of opportunities to discover, to unlock, and even to identify and to pitch to the local markets. So I basically started applying to all the companies.
So there we go again.
Yes, again. And I started a digital networking with people locally, meaning in Qatar. And I was...
When you say digital networking, what, just on LinkedIn or?
Yeah, I know it sounds funny. Simply go on put in Excel all the companies, add all the people in each of the companies, start to talk and offer added value. Offer insights, offer communication. Is not just, oh, can you help me find a job? That is not working.
No, that sounds like it's coming from a needy person, but if you're actually offering advice or...
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. It can be an advice, can be also an exchange of points of view, can be a digital coffee, can be whatever. And then eventually I started work in KPMG Qatar. So KPMG. Yeah, okay. KPMG. And so that started my journey into consulting, more into the deep consulting. And that's in that case, I had the possibility to meet incredible clients, incredible colleagues, and so really great minds. And this helped me also to gather more experience, to develop more know-how on how to approach clients, how to pitch to clients here in Qatar. So that really elevated my knowledge, my skills, and so on. And then I received another offer. This time was in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was with, not sure if I can name the company.
Well, it's up to you. You can name the company if you want, but some people name companies, some people don't name companies.
Yeah, well, it was Accenture. And Accenture in Saudi Arabia recruited me. I had some health problems, and I had also some decisions that I had to deal with on my personal life. So I requested pretty much to, let's say, I applied for other, I looked for other options. I did not really directly apply, but I looked for other options. And 2 days before leaving Italy for Saudi Arabia, because at the time I was back from Qatar and ready to go to Saudi Arabia, I received several offers, and I said, wait a second. I have an offer here, an offer here, an offer here. Why can't I just set up a business? Why can't I just have my clients become the boss of myself and start to deliver and provide my services?
So that was a light bulb moment that just suddenly...
Absolutely.
Where were you? I'm just curious. Was it in the shower or was it...
No. Let's say the shower. To keep more confidentiality.
No, I had another image, but I'm not saying where it was.
Yes. Trying to pretend that it was in the shower, yeah.
It was nature's calling that, okay, yeah.
But that was very fortunate, to be honest. So I was lucky that all those offers came at the same time. And I said, okay, there is a potential. And the first most important aspect to go through, to tackle was the psychological idea of, okay, I'm leaving a secure job, the classical permanent contract, which in the south of Italy is, religion. Never lose your permanent contract for something that is not stable. Even 3 years contract is never.
Really? So in the south of Italy, is there not an entrepreneurial kind of spirit, or is there?
Yes, there is, but Southern Italian people, when they have this entrepreneurial spirits, either is on the food industry,
right,
and that is local, or is completely exported. So I want to make business, I go to Dubai, I go to China, I go to UAE.
Oh, right, so they don't stay within the region.
No, because I think it's a problem of the continental Europe, by the way. The continental Europe, maybe except for Switzerland and UK, I think there is not a really healthy culture with regards to making business. So we don't have a good culture in the continental Europe, except again for Switzerland and UK, where, especially also in Italy, if you fail once, you will always be etiqueted like the failed guys, the guy that failed. And this is absolutely wrong, because you need to fail 1 million times to succeed.
Absolutely.
And that's one that justifies the series of the chain of failure.
Yeah.
And I feel that failures teach you way more even than a win. Does not mean that you need continuously to
No, but you learn so much.
It's a learning curve.
Absolutely.
And this culture is very, very absent, I believe, in Italy. In Europe, in the northern part of Europe is way better. UK, Switzerland is more flexible on this, like USA, like the big Asian economies. So it's more open to that, which is the reason why then I'm here. Because
So you had this light bulb moment and you thought, okay, I can't do it here, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's the ease of business. Let's be honest, Stefan. It's the ease of...
that's why you're here.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to be too honest. No, but there is an ease of business here that's I personally cannot find in the continental Europe. Maybe in Switzerland still, but the cost of labor, the cost of so many costs, and then the taxations and so many other aspects. There is a metric in a macroeconomy called competitiveness of a country. And it's not random that India and Middle Eastern countries are on the top, and we as old continent in Europe, we are way behind it.
Oh, really?
USA is kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
But the ratio between what costs to you to make business and what you earn out of this, that is the ratio we should start to look at as countries, as environment, which unfortunately puts us, Europe, a little bit behind this.
But I'm just curious. You're thinking of you have this light bulb moment of setting up yourself as a consultant with your own business.
Yeah.
And you're not looking at your own country. You're looking at another country. Mm-hmm. You've had how many months experience within that country? Did you feel confident that, okay, this is going to work? Or you were like, okay, I'm going to go for it anyway, and then sink or swim?
There are two things to respond to you on this.
Okay.
Because, the first one is that I said Qatar is a small country, and it's easy to reach everyone out. It's easy to make networking. And also a coffee, like we said last time, a coffee can really change your life in this country. I don't think in Italy can happen this. Or in Germany or in France, unless you're super lucky, but that happens once in a lifetime. So
do you think that's because they're already established markets that it's harder to get into, where here it's still...
Yeah, there is also that. So there is a saturation clearly in Europe, and the market is very mature, regulations very mature, everything is so mature, and now to innovate you really need to invent something completely new. And this offers, how can I say, intellectually speaking, interesting times, but from the business point of view, you cannot pay your bills with intellectual challenges. So somehow you need to make your own living. And this was one aspect. So the mere, how can I say, observance of the environment. And the other one was, I feel myself confident more in a country where the weather is more close to what I prefer. So I cannot deal with cold weather.
Yeah, but you come from southern Italy, so surely that's got a Mediterranean all year round.
Yeah, similar. But again, I could get hotter.
Yeah.
And also the sea. So those two components, the weather and the sea, for me is very important. And also, again, the knowledge, because I knew already the market, because I was working KPMG. So I said, okay, maybe it's the right time to do that. And I can do now, because I don't have kids yet. But when you have kids, of course, you will need to calculate better. So you're less risk tolerant when you have kids. And so I said, okay, now is the right time. If I want to risk something more, it's the right moment. Then there won't be another option.
Absolutely.
Later on. So I said, let's try. Worst case scenario, can still go back to any consulting job as before.
And how was it? Starting your own business here in Qatar?
So I had already a knowledge of the ecosystem. I had already my database with companies, with my contacts, and also the personal relationship that I built across the time, and that I'm still building today. So the idea was, to be honest, was easier than expected. So at the beginning, you always see this big mountain, when you start a new challenge, you say, oh my God, I'm never going to reach that peak.
Yeah.
But I understood that the secret is just focus on the two next steps. 1, 2, don't even look at the peak. Just keep walking and just be aware that you're going up and not down. But apart from this, I think it's just a psychological barrier to break, to say, okay, I can do this. There will be definitely up and downs. But what really counts is your energy, because your energy is what brings you at the right place, the right moment, when that train of the lucky lucky train passes. So you're already there. And that what brought you is the energy, is your willingness. I don't believe in just being lucky.
No.
The train is not going to go out of the railways, just come to you. So you need to go there.
Absolutely. Which is very helpful in this part of the region.
Yeah. It's very helpful, and I think he's like, okay, I believe we will be able to go through in deep, but Qatar is really changing, and so you need to adapt also in the way you pitch your businesses and the way you make business here. So everything is changing, and also Middle Eastern countries are changing very, very quickly. For Europe, we took more intermediate stages, but now here we are seeing an exponential change all throughout the Middle East and the Asian countries as well.
Can you give us insight into that? How the Middle East is changing?
In so many aspects, and I can look at the biggest example, which is Saudi Arabia. So culturally speaking, things that before were somehow considered, let's say, taboos, or anything that's now is allowed, somehow generated economies. Even, for example, just allowing the women to drive. The car industry has been hugely impacted. That's a small example. But this can be extended to all the aspects. Also, the openness in dealing with the disruptive technologies, AI, blockchain, and the digital transformation that was the big wave at the beginning. The countries like Qatar also are shifting toward a model which is, let's say, consumer-based to a knowledge-based economy. So Qatar, like also other countries, want to export knowledge, want to export IT products, want to attract talents. And so is in the middle of this transformation. Let's say it's in the puberty of the digital transformation. I believe the whole Middle East.
So digital transformation. So how do you see Qatar in the next 5 years, 10 years? Where is it? Because we've had this huge movement or move with the World Cup. The World Cup helped with the whole infrastructure of Qatar. And now, I've seen changes with regards to the digital platforms that are being introduced. FinTech seems to be, the big thing at the moment. But I always think that Qatar wants to really move faster, but there's always like a pullback. Don't go too fast. Not like Dubai, where it's always jumping, where Qatar jumps and then steps back a little bit, jumps, steps back a little bit. So where do you see Qatar in 5 years or 10 years? Is it going to be big within FinTech and other AI?
Yeah, so I believe that's like you say, you use the right model. So there are countries like UAE that will always approach, I believe, in that way. So innovation is like more a way, let's rush toward innovation. We know that we might sacrifice some other aspects, minor aspects or major aspects. On the other side, Qatar is more careful, it follows a more careful approaches. In the middle, there is Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is a little bit hybrid of the two things. So I used to define the model Qatar wahda, which in Arabic means step by step, piano piano, I would say in Italian. So which is a very careful approach because so Qatar is a small country and there are huge risks when it comes to entering these transformations, especially if we look from the high level point of view. So the leadership of a country needs to take into account so many aspects, and I can understand why sometimes things cannot happen very fast. Now, I see Qatar definitely into the process of starting attracting talents and developing in-house the first relevant technologies. I see Qatar having its first unicorn, most probably is going to be Nuno from Hamad Al-Hajri. And I also believe that Qatar will really start to attract seriously more startups. So there will be a huge demand. And I know that the leadership also is working toward this goal. This is part of Qatar vision. This is part of the vision of the overall leadership of Qatar. The ease of making business is something that I see the country will work on. So will be part of the offering in general. And Qatar, the message has been clear. Qatar is a country that will be tailored for business and for families. So whatever decision will be taken, based on my understanding, is that Qatar will still be that nice country where you can be with your family, you can be relaxed if your kids go out. You don't have to feel pressured. In terms of fintech, I see a great potential for two reasons. Number one, there is an enormous, how can I say, a very big capital power that can be delivered for investments. So the problem of Qatar is to find ideas that can be funded and are profitable. While in other countries, there are so many good ideas, but small funding.
Right.
So Qatar wants to compete, wants to be a major player, and this is clear from what we see. And the recent launch of the Digital Assets Lab from Qatar Financial Center says a lot regarding also the future digital economy and the Web3 economy, because we see that Qatar is willing to play a role in that. Just to give an overview, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain have already a 300 to 500 million United States dollars economies in the Web3. With Web3, I mean everything that has to do with AI, blockchain, metaverse, all this ecosystem. For Qatar and Kuwait was zero. And this is something that's, of course, even QFC and even the leadership has looked at. And the launch of the Digital Assets Lab, recent, I think last week, is a first leap toward elevating the skills and elevating the capabilities of the country in general. So to attract those kind of fintechs possibly in the future operating with the CBDCs, possibly with stable coins. We don't know. There were rumors which have not been confirmed, are not official. That's all the GCC countries will be basically adopting a single central bank digital currency, which will have a huge impact on the local economy and the attraction of foreign investment.
Oh, wow.
Because I think use cases like asset tokenization for real estate, so many people will invest in a tax-free solution from Europe, from US, from Asia, and so much money will flow into Qatar, into the cash of Qatar. So I see so much potential for fintech, for agritech, and for any sustainability idea that will maybe will be complementary with the smart city solutions also, because that's another very big, how can I say, big focus of the country itself. So having a very smart city on the model of Singapore, Hong Kong, and Lisbon, and so on.
Wow, you kind of blow my mind. It's
so many things.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, because when you're living here, no, the family thing is very important and is, something that I hold dear to my heart, is the fact that, yeah, it's a great place to raise your family. It's safe. You've got great schooling. You've got great places to go. So it's great to hear that that's something that they will hold dear moving forward. You mentioned about the, startups, the incubation programs that are here in Qatar. Are they looking at incubating startups and then just for the Qatari market, or is it for international? How?
Yeah, there are two aspects. One is attracting startups that can somehow play a role in the country based on the demand, of course. But there is also the desire to install and to create national champions that might start to export their services outside. So there is this great ambition of having finally the first unicorn in Qatar and finally develop an industry which starts to export. So to have less consumers and more exporters, which is, of course, what also generates GDP and overall attracts more talents, other companies, other big vendors. So definitely to create a mature ecosystem toward that. It's a process, by the way, because everything starts from regulations. And the regulations are the key aspects of an ecosystem enablement. So you have one side the regulation, then you have the business, the private sector, and in private sector I put also the investors, and then you have the small middle enterprises. So in the public sector, what you have is that public sector should communicate more with startups and small middle enterprises. And I can recall the example of Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia imposed the public sector to work or to sign agreements up to a certain percentage of the volumes with startups, local startups. Say, okay, you issue this RFP, but you work with whatever startup you want, but must be a Saudi startup. This helps also to attract. And probably this is one of the things that I will say in Qatar will be changing step by step. Today, there is a little bit of reluctance to work with the small vendors, small medium enterprises. So I don't trust them. No, I better trust Google. I better trust Microsoft. I better trust this and that. So working with the small companies is synonym of maybe we are gonna fail, maybe we are gonna crush the project. But no, there is definitely a trust that even the public sector should put into the SMEs. But again, everything starts, you remember, from the first component of the equation, which is the regulation. Regulations enabling a market which sells to the private sector.
So you think there's going to be changes in the regulation? Because, I see at the moment there is a lot of funding in the startup ecosystem. But then there's nothing after that for the SMEs. There seems to be, it's not that easy to run a business here. But as you mentioned, they're going to make it easier for businesses to operate.
That's the point. And I think we are already in the initial parts of the process where regulations will have an impact on the markets. And I will make you an example. Again, the Digital Assets Lab is already allowing, after a certain period for the piloting regime, to have a business which operates under certain conditions. You can already, in theory, today, nominally, tokenize a real estate asset, and you can start selling something completely new that the market hasn't experienced yet. Now, this is a small example, but this can go towards AI, blockchain, and so on. So I expect in the future to see a blockchain strategic program being part of the big digitalization of the government services, where I can see identity verification running on blockchain, nobody can alter. I can see car registration or Ministry of Justice documents being stored on a blockchain which is immutable, transparent, and secure. Or I can see any other service issued through and enhanced through AI and so on. So this will take a little bit of time. And the first KPI to look at is what is the degree of adoption of the ministries with regards to those technologies. This will give us previous information regarding how the regulations are having an impact on the market, because they are willing, meaning the ministry and the governmental bodies are willing to adopt those technologies, which means they need providers. And if those providers are the local startups enabled by those regulations, there will be also a need for hiring. So the talent retention. So if I'm a Qatari or I'm not a Qatari or I'm a resident here, I don't go anymore to another country to find a job, but I can stay here. And the government is already providing a great effort when it comes to delivering a lot of courses in AI, UI, UX, is supporting so much with dedicated technical and non-technical courses with regard to this rapid technologies. So the gasoline is injected. Now it's just a matter of oil a little bit the engine and to make it start. Once it started, of course, Qatar will break any record, I'm sure.
Nice. I'm just curious, while you were talking, what would make, or if I'm a business owner living abroad and, you know, I'm thinking of coming into the Middle East, what incentives would I, you know, be attracted to starting in Qatar?
Yes. So if I am a startup, or if I'm even before than a startup, I have a good idea. Let's start from let's start from the
very
journey.
Absolutely.
Yes. So I wake up one morning, have my coffee, I look at the sky, I look at the sea, and I have a brilliant idea. I want to create something. I say, wait a second. If I want to set up a business in Netherlands or in Italy or in Slovakia, it's going to cost me this with so many difficulties. And I say, wait a second. But I heard on Indeed that Qatar and infrastructure of Qatar is providing huge incentives. Now, what are those incentives? The Ministry of Information Technology provides all throughout the innovation funnel a body that is supposed to support for each stage startups and pre-startups and scale-ups. Meaning, if I have a good idea, I can go to the Ministry of Information Technology and I can ask to support me with the test and the development of a POC.
POC was
proof of concept.
Okay.
So I want to test a marketable and technology-based solution that I believe can be demand-driven, can be a good fit for the markets, and MCIT has historically played a huge role in this. If I see that there is a market fit, and I say, wait a second, I can sell to this stakeholder, that stakeholder, which means there is a market for me. And I estimate the market, and it really makes sense to register a company. But must be a startup. So what I would do is I would go to Digital Incubation Center in Qatar, which allows to incubate startups. So from your pitch deck, once you have your idea, you have your pitch deck all the way to the actual incubation, which means that would be assigned to me a mentor, an advisor, all for free, no equity required, no application.
Yeah.
In some cases, if the idea is good, I heard that's not sure if this is official, but I heard that sometimes even the cost of registration is covered for very promising startups. I will be assigned to mentors, and I will receive all the guidance that I need for how to write a pitch deck, how to write financials, how to write strategy, and so on. I will then eventually find investors. Those investors will fund my company, my startup, which now becomes a company because I start to hire. I will start to have my clients, and I keep growing until I reach the stage of the scale up. So I need to be accelerated now, which is the reason why MCT provides the TASMO accelerator, which is by mandates one of the entities that provide acceleration to companies, right? So that they become scale ups for expansions. And also in this case, as far as I know, there is no equity asking in return, no money, no registration. This is huge. And I'm only mentioning the Ministry of Information Technology. There is also QSTP, there is QRDI, there is Qatar Development Bank, another Qatar Development Bank. We have so many programs. You have, I think, Scale 7, you have the FinTech Hub, and so on, so many. But just mentioning the MCIT, we have the end-to-end life cycle, which is for free. So from an idea to an accelerated startup, you have everything for free, no equity requested. Now, I was shocked when I thought of it because I said, wow, there is no country that does all of this for free.
Yeah.
But I was also shocked because I said, how come nobody knows about this? Even in Qatar, a few people know that there is the entire pipeline covered.
Really?
Yeah. And when I started posting on LinkedIn, and I said, guys, if you're any mentors, it was a generical call, and I said, why don't you look at opportunities in Qatar? People were shocked. They thought I was a scammer because I said, look, it's all for free. And they thought, okay, what is the trick, right?
Yeah.
I said, no, look, I'm not selling you anything. It's just addressing you to the opportunities in Qatar. So yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But why? Why does no one know about it? Why isn't it broadcasted all over the place to attract, to be the hub?
Because again, we are in the middle of this transformation. So retention is important, but also attraction. So in the first phase, you need to inject gasoline. So you need to attract. Then you need to consolidate the ecosystem, and then you need to expand it. But now is the moment of attracting talents, startups, companies. And I think the leadership is deploying incredible amounts of resources for this, and that's remarkable, really remarkable. This says a lot about the ambition of a very small country like Qatar that can be and will do, I'm sure, will achieve huge results. And we are in the middle of that process. I'm sure that it will be a path full of challenges, definitely. And the challenges are in the legal aspects, are into the financial control, and I believe also for the FinTech in the money laundering, which is typical of all the FinTech solutions. But definitely, if properly rationalized, I believe there are huge opportunities for the state of Qatar.
Nice. I'm just curious, how do you keep on top of all the changes that's going on in technology yourself? Where's your, what kind of resources do you tap into?
007. No. It's basically, I keep make networking and so trying to get exchange information with all the people that know, my partners, my former colleagues, the friends that work in, and as I said, Qatar is a very small country, so you have your coffees. If your life is not changing, at least is enriched by the latest updates regarding Qatar.
Yeah.
But definitely, it's important to keep up with all the latest updates, because you understand exactly where a country is going. Especially when a country is small, you understand in an easier way because the changes are visible, and you see all the directions, and you understand where all of this is pointing to. While for a very huge countries, you will not really have the full picture, so it's more challenging.
So you're going to be here for a few more years?
I have my retirement plan. I have my retirement plan in place. I drafted it on my Excel. I set it up my requirements. So quantifying, I'm supposed to be 11 years.
Okay.
More. And whether I will stay after that or not, I will decide. But reaching the freedom of deciding whether you want to work today or not, I think is priceless.
But what is your goal? What would quantify success for you being here in Qatar?
1 year ago was money, to be honest. Now is reaching that minimum amount of money that would allow me and my family to work comfortably without working, which might surprise people, is not millions. You just need a salary which helps you to live decently without working. Because I don't know if you've read it. It's very shocking. I was reading one of the biggest regrets of old people in the hospitals, and I'm so fascinated by the stories of old people. I would spend hours, and I mean it.
And that's where you get wisdom from.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's, if you think about it, is also the concept of history. We read from books, we read from others, and from other stories. That's how we prevent the future.
Yeah.
So, and one of the biggest regrets was, I wish I spent more time for my family and for the activities I love, rather than working, or rather than try to accumulate money. And although majority of us take it philosophically, we might say, it's so true, but 5 minutes later, okay, let me make money. I started to take it seriously, and I said, there must be a number in the equation that tells me, okay, this number is what you need for you and n number of kids to live comfortably in a specific place with a specific standard of life that you, of course, you agree and you take into account in advance, and say, okay, I don't want Lamborghini, I don't want the Ferrari, I don't want the Maserati. I just want to live in front of the sea, have my fresh eggs, my animals that I don't kill because I was close to vegetarian, and my family close. I want to read, I want to make sport, I want to dedicate to the activities that really bring you close to the nature and close to yourself, probably, because we are so detached from ourselves with cell phones, social media followers. It's all alienating. So that was my inner introspection. And I said, okay, all of this must be equivalent to a number. What is this number? And I made my computations, and I said, okay, this is what I need to achieve in 11 years. After that, I can choose. If I want to work, I work. If I don't, I can just read the newspaper and feed the pigeons in the park.
I love that, because what I'm hearing is that, you literally went down into your heart and, what is important for me, what would make me really happy. But then you use your head for the whole, calculations of numbers and, what is the actual figure that will get me to that point.
Exactly. The introspection is the starting point. And then I said, okay, I want to achieve this goal. I must treat as it was a business. So my passive income and the machine that will generate money is itself a project of creating a business. What is this business? How diversified is going to be? Where I'm going to invest? How I'm going to invest? How I'm going to create? And how and at which pace I'm going to save the money that I will need to create this machine. I treat it very seriously, to be honest. At the beginning, it was very flexible. Now I'm really counting the cents for this. Does not mean that I'm becoming a very stingy person, or at least I am with myself, not with others.
Yeah.
I believe that in any case, money are just a tool, but definitely I took it very seriously. So it started from an introspection, and I said, okay, I want this life. And of course, when you choose something, you leave something behind. So every choice is you're renouncing to something else. And I said, am I okay renouncing to the benefits of a very luxurious lifestyle and this and that? I said, yes, because before starting my career, I was living a normal life. My parents were coming from a normal class.
Well, actually, that's a nice point, actually, because I was just going to sign off the show by just going back to your childhood. As you said, you were south of Italy, born where it is.
Yeah, in the province of Naples.
Okay.
Close to Naples, a small town called Torre del Greco. It's entirely distributed across the sea. I could literally jump out of my window.
Oh, really? So hence, you want to go back to the sea, do a full circle?
I thought about it, and I won't deny that when I go there, I miss the simplicity of the things.
No, I don't mean go back there, but go back to a place that is next to the sea, because you...
Yeah, to be honest, yes. And there are several aspects that made me realize what is important in life. The love for yourself, the way you eat, what kind of air do you breathe, the sports and everything, far from the consequence of materialism, is exactly the place where I want to be. In the case, my machine of passive income will work, and I will be full independence with my family, of course. But yeah, definitely in a place that has those characteristics, which is pretty much south of Italy, Greece, Turkey, that area. So pretty much that is it is the classical, permanent cycling around, your hometown. So you go so far behind it and then you run back. But in this case, it's not really being homesick. It's the characteristics.
No, the characteristics. It's being near the sea.
Yeah, tomorrow Hong Kong might become the sea.
No, absolutely.
I'm okay.
So growing up, who was your influence growing up?
Nice question. Kanye West?
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. No. It's when I was a kid, I was very energetic person. I'm a very energetic kid, so I was always playing football. At the time, we did not have this obsession for telephones, so it was very healthy in playing football in the streets and ruining your legs, full of blood coming home.
Absolutely.
We were so happy of going out and just gather. There was no telephone. My first telephone, I had it when I was 15 or 16.
Do you think that changed you when you got your first telephone?
No, I think social media did.
Okay.
The telephone at the beginning was just a mean for me. And I will not deny that when I was like 24, I decided for myself, okay, I want to try 1 year to use a phone with the actual buttons, no touch screen and nothing. Was very difficult.
Oh, absolutely. I tried that just this summer. Because I wanted just a simple phone, so I didn't want to get another iPhone just to go home with a UK SIM. I just wanted a simple one. I couldn't handle it. It was too,
How many days did you resist?
Oh, I think it was a week.
Wow.
I found it very frustrating having to go to different menus to get to what you wanted. Maybe as a phone, fair enough, answer, call, answer, but anything else was just a nightmare. And if people were trying to message you on this phone, it was just, no. And it was not an old phone. It was a brand new phone, but in the style of just the buns.
The bottom. So
Yeah.
well, I mean, it's definitely something to try, but whoever succeeds has my respect.
Absolutely.
Too.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yes, you got your phone around 15, 16.
Yeah, my 16.
Can I just ask, because you're Italian,
Sorry?
because you're Italian, I know there's a very close relationship between sons and mothers.
Oh.
Was there that for you?
Yeah, the relationship is extended until to the grandmother.
Oh, really?
So the way the southern Italian, especially Napoli, is built is very matriarchal, very, very matriarchal.
Yeah.
I know sounds different from the reality, but it's like this because the father or the man is very often you can find the man that is the one cooking home, or at least the woman is the everyday cooking. For the special occasion is the man, which means when there is cooking, it's really something incredible.
Yeah.
Some key decisions, as always, are probably either led or completely decided by women. At least this was in my family.
Mm-hmm.
And the men were the poor victims. Talking about oppression of women.
Yeah.
So I grew up in environments where pretty much the family. I always had a close tie with all my family members. So in the south of Italy, for example, you are very close even to your cousins, even to your own second and third degree. Still, there is no difference between them and your parents.
Yeah.
Sounds very weird, but my mother still checks on me every day when we call. Have you called your cousin? Have you called your aunt?
Oh, really?
Have you called your the cousin of your aunt? And so that becomes sometimes burdening, to be honest. When
Well, yeah, I was going to say, how do you handle that time if you're always contacting your cousins and you?
Yeah, but the trade-off is that you really, when you will always find the family supporting you. In that case, it's true. Of course, there are good and bad people always everywhere in the world, but it's burdening. But because the expectations are very high, so you might call the cousin of your uncle, say, "Why didn't you call me for 2 weeks?"
Yeah.
You know. And today for me it sounds funny, but then you need to explain you're busy and so on. That's more accepted. So the relationship with my mom was like typical Southern Italian, very similar even to the Arabs. For the mother, the son is everything. Although, let's say the mothers are very physical when it comes to to educate their kids.
No, really.
Flying shoes and that's what I meant by physical.
I can see that's actually happened to you.
Yeah. And also my grandmother. So my grandmother is always, calling me every day. Oh, why can't you come back home? Why so far away? But I think that's part of, that's normal. Every family and every parent and every grandparent, not only in Italy, I think everywhere would always have similar feelings at least.
Yeah.
I'm not a parent yet. Probably I will become like them. Not sure, but I think it's very important to give space. So there was a very nice quote from Albert Einstein that said, in reference not to the family, but to him as a teacher to his students, and we can somehow transport this into the family. So he said, the best role model for a teacher is not to provide a lesson, but is to provide the tools so that your students are ready to solve a problem. So you are not the one who helps to solve the problem for the students, but you're just giving them the tools in their hands, and they need to figure it out.
So,
and I think pretty much can be transported to the family itself. So you need to get your kids ready to face up life, to face up the good and the bad, and allowing to commit mistakes to your kids is okay, as long as this teaches something to them and teaches them to be prepared for life, because it's a continuous learning. But there is no real school for life, and even though it was, nobody would study it. So you need to experience on your skin. You need to commit mistakes. You need to get the rewards. You need to commit mistakes again, lose everything, and then go back. The beauty of life is these up and downs. There is no constant linearity.
no, there's not.
Yeah, it's. I hope you agree.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. We're coming to the end. I just want to quickly touch on. So, did you go to university, and what did you study before?
Yeah, So it's a pretty interesting, because I studied. So I started my career at the classical studies, the Lyceum, high school classical studies, so ancient Latin, ancient Greek, and so very humanitarian topics. Then I realized at my last year that my passion is mathematics and physics. So I said, okay, I want to study engineering, electronic engineering. And I started to study electronic engineering, trying to get that knowledge gap in mathematics and physics topics compared to the other guys that were coming from scientific backgrounds. So I said, okay, I like this. I graduated in electronic engineering. And then I tested the different areas that apparently had no connection, but I liked the idea of having different spots of knowledge that at the end I could somehow gather and say, okay, I have a background in different areas and now they touch each other. I'm doing something that touched them all. For example, I got a master in the university in, I did this online, but it was at the university in Switzerland for Islamic studies and Islamic finance. So I was curious about what is this Islamic finance. I want to know the technicalities behind it, apart from the general, concept. I also did my certifications in project management, in data science, artificial intelligence. And I said, okay, all of this has nothing to do with each other. And to be honest, even my parents and my family was confused what this guy is doing. But I've always been fascinated by what I do not know. So if there is something that I don't know yet, I want to learn. That is my trigger to know something.
But that's great because you got a curious mind. So you always want to learn. You're always curious.
Yeah. It's a constant in my life. And then in my free time, I started to study also philology and ancient religious texts. So I was interested from the scientific point of view to analyze the chronology of the text and all the techniques. And I studied from all the scholars. This was in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. It was very interesting.
Wow. Unbelievable. So do you think you'll ever stop? You'll just keep on going? Do you think the technology as well, that's a good point actually. With AI, do you just now type something in if you're just curious about something and it comes up with an answer? Or have you tried it, what you know, and then you just test out AI, whether it knows as well?
Yeah, so now that's an interesting point.
Yeah.
A very interesting question. So this reminds me also the debate whether ChatGPT should have been allowed into the schools. Because the answer to your question is how the knowledge and the access to knowledge and the added value that knowledge provides is granted today. So before we had to make Google research and check on Google and people cheating on
Well,
exams.
no, before that it was encyclopedias.
Oh, yes.
Before my time.
Yes, I remember the...
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
The whole library.
Wow.
Yeah.
Heroes.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, and then on Google, and now AI is facilitating the access to information. But let us remember that the access to knowledge and information is a good thing to shorten this time. So the time for me, from my points till I get the information that I need to create, to produce, to implement a solution is absolutely a positive thing. So ChatGPT or all the AIs help to shorten this time frame from me needing an information and me getting that information. Of course, do not provide the solution to a problem in the world because that requires human intelligence, which is the reason why I cannot be concerned about AI replacing minds. If we are thinking, we are better than AI.
Yeah.
The problem is that if we are not thinking, there is
Absolutely.
we should be worried in that case. But I believe that ChatGPT is a good tool for me also to learn, or at least to gather information. The way I learn is the Feynman method. Feynman was a theoretical physicist from the United States in the 50s and 60s. And he outlined a methodology to learn faster everything.
Oh, really?
So write down on a paper whatever you know about a topic. Maybe it's very little. Research, understand what is it about, keep writing down whatever you understand and your opinion, and then complement with experts. This is the shortest way to learn everything.
Nice.
Since I follow this, that helps me a lot. Yeah.
Superb. On that note, we've come to the end of the time.
It was really, really an interesting interview.
Thank you, Giorgio. It was brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
See, it wasn't that bad, was it?
Louder.
Giorgio was at the beginning. So what's the format? It was just like relax. Just
Yeah. I'm way more relaxed now. Thank you. Thank you so much.
superb. Thank you, Giorgio.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. And please come on the show if you've got any updates or if there's any developments that you want to shout about. Please let us know.
Absolutely.
That was brilliant.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And we'll catch up with you next week. Take care. Bye-bye. Hey, amazing people. This concludes our journey on the Head Guide podcast, your ultimate fusion of Middle East vibes and success in both business and life. I'm Stefan Lindberg-Jones, your ever-enthusiastic guide through all things awesome. The Head Guy podcast is your exclusive pass to CEO insights, cultural adventures, and the genuine lowdown on life in the Middle East. If you've enjoyed the ride, hit that subscribe button for the most fantastic ongoing adventure. Stay tuned for more awesomeness, more insights, and more success coming your way. Let's roll into the future of the Middle East journey together.